Hello, my name is Dave Barker, and I am doing Russian Revolution for my project class presentation. This is a timeline of what actually happened during the Russian Revolution. I will be going from start to beginning and even outcomes of the revolution and before what happened before the revolution, of living conditions, and even what was going on in the world. An overview of the Russian Revolution. It was a huge time for Russia. It was one of the biggest events ever because the fact that something was going on in Russia, but also World War I was in full effect as well. It happened for many years, March 8th, 1917 through June 16th, 1923. These years were very hard years for Russia, not only because of the war, because of the Russian/Bolshevik Revolution. Constant changes of Russian lives were going on, not only through just the lives of many people, but also through the lives and the eyes of Nicholas II and also the other world seeing this. The Russian people had enough of everything, of the constant war going on, of the food shortages, of all the Jews coming in and overflowing the country. They had enough and decided to fight back. Vladimir Lenin, and including his followers, the Bolsheviks, which were all revolutionaries and people that helped during these times. Many outcomes of the Russian Revolution/Bolshevik Revolution came out of it, both good and bad outcomes as well. Social issues that sparked the revolution, or even before the revolution. There were poor living conditions, not only just for housing, but also the fact that it was so overpopulated that people were had enough of this, and that people are dying because of the shortage of bread. The bread shortage is huge, not only because of people going to the war. There were many people going. There were many men going to serving the war, so most of the bread went to the soldiers and not to the actual working class that were making weapons for them. So they weren't paid well nor fed well. Jewish immigrants were escaping from Germany and on all the war, so the Russia was the only safe place, it seemed. It overflowed so much that the fact that living conditions got poorer and everything went up, and also the shortage of bread as well. There was little pay for food in the working class, I just mentioned, but I want to go more depth with this. People worked very hard to make weapons for the war. Not only that, but they also worked very hard for their families as well. Families and people, men, women, children were dying because of the food shortage. In all of this, in between all of this, there was a constant war going on. It was between World War One and the end of World War One when the whole Russian Revolution happened. When this happened, people were dying and even complaining that they don't want any enough that they don't want any war. So significant events that happened before and during, even after the Russian Revolution. The first off that really sparked it was Bloody Sunday. It happened January 30th of 1872, or sorry, 1927. Sorry, 1917. During 1917, during 1917, there were peaceful protesters outside the palace wanting Nicholas II to retire and form a new government. Because not only they were losing the war, they also needed food and better shelter. So it was believed that Nicholas II actually firing squatted them, and now he was blamed for it. War I breaking out between Russia and Germany was also a huge problem as well. It happened in 1914, or around the same time that Nicholas II came into play. Nicholas II had a lot of losses during World War I, which pushed everything out even more. I don't mention this a lot, but Jewish immigrants flooding Russia was a very high problem for population. I know I keep mentioning it, but it's very important to keep mentioning this because it was a time where people were trying to get away from the war, and then overpopulating became a problem. The food shortages was also a problem before as well. Luckily, there was bread after the revolution, but before, a lot of people weren't getting their fair share of money and food. Finally, the reign of Nicholas II. People didn't like the last two governors. One was tended to be assassinated. The other one died of sickness. Nicholas II did not help as well. He made Russia seem weak in the World War I by getting many losses. Some world influences are people who were involved in the war. There was really no one involved with the war, or no one that really wanted to get involved. The only people that were actually involved were the people of Russia and residents, including the working class and peasant class. Germany attacked Russia. It only called for more action and more for the action to be done, because people were sick of the war. People were sick of the constant fighting. They wanted peace. They wanted peace. They wanted peace. They wanted freedom. They wanted food, but they couldn't get it because someone needed to tell them they need to stand up. That's when Vladimir Lenin became involved. After the Russian Revolution, Nicholas II was firmly executed, including his family as well. About a year before this, Vladimir Lenin became empowered. He became governor, and proudly everyone supported him. The birth of the USSR, or the Soviet Union, and even communism was born through all of this. Finally, lastly but not least, a peace treaty was signed between Germany and Russia. So Russia was pulled out of World War I, and so the constant war restarted between them. Finally, everyone was happy. Hopefully. Now let's talk a little about communism. Communism was invented by Karl Marx and Joseph Stalin after they were angry about Nicholas II. Slowly but surely, communism began to play, and Vladimir Lenin was even supporting it. He became head of the Soviet Union through his reign before he died. Communism became more of an idea, or more impactful, after Nicholas II was executed, including his family. The idea was everyone that was free. Everyone got their fair share of pay and got their fair share of food as long as they worked very hard for it. And last but not least, later in the future, around 1941, during the Cold War, communism was used very, very heavily during it. Vladimir Lenin. He was a person that helped during the Russian Revolution. Vladimir Lenin, he had many speeches to help encourage the people of Russia to fight back. Lenin was a well-known politician who was the head of the Bolsheviks. He was a well-known politician because he encouraged the use of communism. He also very highly respected communism and even supported it. He was the head and founder of the Soviet Union, or the USSR. Nicholas II. Nicholas II was the next Russian leader after Alexander II died. He was supposedly to be a strong leader, but turns out he really wasn't. He brought weakness to Russia after gaining many losses during World War I. Not only that, he recruited so many members that the whole shortage of food caused. And it was believed that Nicholas II even started the whole revolution after the Bloody Sunday. It was rumored that he was the one who ordered the squad to fire on his people. Finally, my reflection on all of this. There are difficult parts in this project, in my opinion. There were difficult parts in this project, but not only that, it was fun to make. The Russian Revolution was my favorite revolution of them all. Second being French Revolution. I wanted to do this because I wanted to show people there was more stuff just going on, other than America. I wanted to show people that we're not the only people that we're going through tough times, that we went through tough times even. The Russian Revolution inspired me. It was all war and revolution was always my favorite thing, and Russia was especially one of them. I enjoyed doing this project, and I hope hopefully that I can actually get great on this project, and I hope you all enjoyed it.